So Sarah, we're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
This is so exciting. Honestly, I'm very happy to be here.
So I wanted to kind of talk to you about the fact that you're such a career woman. You know, you're an entrepreneur, you're a digital creator, you're body confidence advocate. How do you manage being also a mom of 4, a wife, a friend, a daughter? And what kind of advice do you have for women out there that are out there doing the same?
Well, first of all, thank you for calling me a career woman, because I feel like this entire industry and everything I do, it's constantly, you don't want to say influencer, you don't want to say content creator. We've been taught to sort of minimize its impact and minimize it as a career. It's still somewhat new, and I think anytime especially women-led industries come to the forefront, there is a lot of questioning and doubt around it. So thank you for first calling it a career, because it is obviously a big job, and I'm so grateful for it. But I think for me, a big part of it is just this career kind of blossomed from my life, from myself, and for, you know, the experiences I was having through being a woman, through being a mother, and now coming through having this blossoming career and the duality of also being a mother. I think one of the biggest things that, and the inspiration I'm drawn to the most, is not necessarily women doing it all and being it all and these like superhumans that we expect them to be, but also looking at my husband, who is also a father, who also has a career, and recognizing that I'm not constantly looking at him and being like, how are you balancing? How are you doing this? How are you doing it all? Recognizing that we need help, we need support. It's okay to have that. It's okay to, you know, not have it all together, to be seeking constantly this idea of balance. My life is imbalanced. I have not found that balance yet. I don't know if I ever will, and I don't know if I need to be more intentional about it, or if it's just the season of life, but I am happy, and I love being both mom and career person, and I'm happy to chase both, and also understand that sometimes those worlds collide a little bit. We got an opportunity, a really great collide, where we got to have the kids on set, 2 of them at least, and then there's other times where it collides emotionally and mentally, and really allowing yourself a lot of grace through that duality.
I love that. Now, tell us about your journey creating the Birds Papaya, and how has it helped you personally and as well career-wise?
So I actually started blogging on a broken laptop, Googling how to code my own blog, because I was a stay-at-home mom living far away from my family and my support system at the time. I had these 2 little kids. I myself was 23 at the time, and I had a 2-year-old and a newborn, and I just felt so isolated with a lack of support. And I remember finding a blog and reading people's stories and their ins and outs of their days, and I felt so inspired. I wasn't alone in this experience. There were so many other people, and we were talking about what we were making for dinner, or like what your kids were wearing, and there was something about that connection that really drove me, and I just wanted at some point to talk back. So I wanted to be part of the conversation, I guess. So I had the worst coded design of a blog ever, because I did it myself, and it was atrocious writing and horrible content. It was not connecting really at all, but I loved it. I loved being a part of this, and I kept doing it. I named it the Birds Papaya because my 2 daughters, their nicknames were Gemma Birdie and Maya Papaya. So that's how it began, and to this day is still my driving force, because I think I realized, even though blogs became social media apps and we keep growing and growing and growing, it comes down to connection. It comes down to community. It comes down to the fact that sometimes we don't find support in our neighborhoods and in our, you know, relational world. Sometimes we need people a world away from us to get what we're talking about and to share experiences with us. And people online, as silly as people may make it seem, have probably saved my life. Like, I've had some of the best conversations with people that I have never even met, and that it's really driven me. I definitely fell off course. There was a time that, because I felt in order for me to get success or find, you know, community, I had to be a certain kind of person. So I tried to be this like picturesque mom and this picturesque family. I thought that my body had to be a certain way. I went on this quest to lose all of this weight, only to find myself absolutely miserable in a marriage that had failed, in a body that was small, but yet I was keeping myself small and away from my life and away from my world. And I knew that I had to figure out a way to show up authentically. We use that word, we throw it around so much, but truly like uncomfortably authentically, at a time that I didn't see a lot of people doing that. I used to post something and throw my phone down and walk away for 3 hours because it physically made me sick to be my real self because I had suppressed it for so long. And that ended up being what gave me success. It wasn't because I was what somebody else wanted me to be. It was actually coming home to who I already was.
So tell me about that journey of self-love and how you became a body confidence advocate and why you think it's really, really important, especially in this day and age, to share that with your audience and just people in general.
I think when we hear the word self-love and body confidence, it always sounds like something we all want. It's just, I want it so bad. I want to look in the mirror and love what I see. I want to live a life confidently and boldly. I want to go do all these things. I want to have this big life. And what happens is we keep chasing this feeling. We want the feeling so bad. That feeling of love, we wait on it so much and we expect it to be butterflies in the belly and, looking in the mirror and truly connecting in an emotional way with what we see. And in confidence, we feel we'll follow that. Then if we have that feeling of love, then we'll start to get to show up and do all these things. And the reality is it's never shown up for me. I have never gotten to a place where I look in the mirror every day and I love what I see, or I am confidently doing everything. I have realized over and over and over through failure and so much more that these are actions. If I look at my marriage, yeah, there's butterflies in my belly a lot of times. Seeing him in a suit today, yeah, butterflies in the belly. But our relationship actually runs on showing up for each other. It's, picking up each other's socks off the floor and, making meals and cleaning up after each other and being there for each other emotionally, even in the dark times. And I had to start doing that for myself. I had to romance myself. I had to, pay attention to what I needed. I had to stop looking at fitness as something that you did to change your body and instead look at it as a way to, find mental relief from the world sometimes. All of my reasons had to change. I had to stop chasing the feeling. And the same with confidence. I think every time I think about confidence, people are like, how do you get up on stages and do these conferences? And I'm like, with my knees shaking, I do it. I've never come to this place where I'm like, yes, I own this. I know what I'm doing. It is a choice to make those steps every single day. When I wear a bikini to the beach, it is a choice to do so. When I wear a one piece, it is because I want to just show up that day and not have to think so much about my body. It is creating focus on all the right things and choosing to show up over and over again. That's love and that's confidence.
I absolutely agree, and I absolutely love that. That's incredible. Now, what has motherhood taught you that a job could never teach you?
I went into a job interview once and I remember almost being apologetic. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years at this point, and I was like, I didn't go to school. I've been a stay-at-home mom for all this time. And I remember the CEO kind of looking at me and being like, and like, moms are kind of doing it all. Like, we know our skill set is pristine. Like, we have to manage a lot and be doing a lot. And that was the first time I really saw motherhood being respected as a skill set. And I've been messy about it. I remember not really enjoying, babysitting kids, and I struggled with other people's children. So having my own was sort of a foreign concept to think that I would actually enjoy the experience. But it has taught me so much about myself, and it's taught me so much about other people, because it's such a bizarre thing to love somebody who is completely different than you, that is foreign than you, that you care about so deeply. But in terms of like showing up in love as an action, there's not anybody you do that more than with your kids. You do it over and over again, and it kind of drives you, right? At the end of the day, I saw this quote once that's like, look at your lock screen and that's your why. And truly, I look at my lock screen, I see these kids, and it's like, what else matters? Like, I matter, but my kids are, I hope, my legacy. I hope that they go out into the world and do something so big with their lives, or so small, but make it special. Like, make it whatever it is you want to be. Be a barista for the rest of your life, be a teacher, be, an astronaut. I don't care. Are you kind and are you happy? And how can I just be there to support that?
What is your favorite thing about being a mom?
I think my favorite thing about being a mom is how much it brings out your own inner child. I think about it all the time, and I was talking about it earlier today about, watching teenagers go through leaving childhood into adulthood and like crossing through that window, and having kids kind of lets you go back through it again. And it's exciting. Everything is magical. Everything is, they're emotionally so unhinged and you have to like rein that in sometimes, but it's so fascinating to watch them be themselves and experience the world. And I think that's probably my favorite part.
I love that. One day for me, one day. That. Now, is there something that you have not done yet in the future that you would like to? Could be career-wise, could be just an activity you want to do.
I have always wanted to somehow do some sort of like a mini series or something of like hosting my own show. I love podcasting. I love talking to people, but I also love different mediums. So I would love to host my own show.
Would you ever do a reality show?
I don't know, because that's so tricky because it involves too many people, but okay. Maybe.
If the family.
I don't think I'm exciting enough. No. I don't have the drama to me.
I don't know. I think it's pretty exciting. Now, I wanted to talk about the captions that you write on Instagram. You write some really, really beautiful, thought-provoking captions. Mm-hmm. What made you want to start doing that, and what do you hope that people get out of those captions?
So when Instagram started, a lot of us were just so focused on what the picture was that we were posting, and then you'd go and Google a good inspirational quote to go with it. It was all about the picture first and what we were saying second. And I reversed the way I was creating, because at the time I was going through therapy, and my therapist had told me that she really wanted me to start journaling my thoughts, start paying attention to what you're thinking so that you can, sort of figure out where you need healing. And so I began to journal almost in caption form. And I would just do it in notes on my phone, and I was writing these things, and then I would find an image to go with it, but not to be dominant to it. I wanted to start making my Instagram more of a journal than sort of like a resume or a presentation or a highlight reel. So that's sort of why I began doing that. And what I didn't expect, and what I've now come to know, is that we are all so similar and yet so different, but we connect with each other on very intimate levels sometimes, right? And from very vulnerable spaces. So when I was writing in real time with things that were going on, not reflectively, but like truly in the trenches of it, I found so many people connecting with me in those moments. And it just, I think for me, just really allowed me to see the power of community.
Absolutely. I have to say, you've gotten me on a couple of your captions. A little tear shed, but a happy tear. So I always tell people, showing people that they're seen.
I think I always tell people, I'll make you laugh or I'll make you cry. It depends on where you go. If you go to my stories, you're gonna laugh. If you go to my posts, I'll probably make you cry. There's not a lot in between.
I love it. Now, did you have a career that you wanted for yourself when you were a child?
So I actually was a trained singer and musician for a number of years.
I didn't know that.
But had horrible stage fright. Couldn't do it, really just struggled with it. So my whole life I always envisioned myself being on a stage, but I was constantly going through this stage fright and this inability to sing because my voice would shake. But what was so fascinating about that is when I go back to that 6-year-old little girl who had these big dreams of being on some sort of a stage, the stage that we have now didn't exist. So it was like I knew there was something for me that I was supposed to do, but the stage in which I thought it needed to be wasn't there yet. But I was the kid who she talks too much on every report card. Every career path for me always felt like it was exciting, but I needed so much more stimulation. Like creativity was just something that I was so drawn to, and I think that's why I loved being so scrappy in the early stages of blogging. But again, I think 6-year-old me always knew I was going to do something, and I think it just took a matter of stepping into it in a way that actually did work and onto a stage that made sense.
Do you think we could ever get a Sarah singing one day?
Oh gosh, no. I still have only people who will go on long car rides with me and is down for like a good Broadway musical album that we're gonna listen to. It's people who are really close to me get it, but everybody else no.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, if Steven Spielberg made a movie about your life, who would you want to play you?
Okay, so I'm gonna choose somebody who I'm told we have very similar mannerisms and we are around the same age and she's iconic. I'm gonna go with Mandy Moore.
I love it. That I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever feel like you get cyber sickness from being on social media so much? And how do you make sure that your content is fresh and exciting and fun even for you?
I think the pandemic really took me for a loop because it was no longer about living your life and documenting it. It was like, here you are in these four walls and you're gonna have to keep finding ways to be creative. At the end of the day, I have really found that social media can be really toxic or it can be really positive. And so we can't put it in either category. We have to respect that it is both. And so for me, I used to experience a lot of social media, what I would call hangover. You would go on it, you'd come off of it, you'd feel like crap about yourself. And I had to start creating boundaries for myself, but also creating community and following people that I actually felt were building me up or teaching me something or allowing me, like I love following families who have like these perfect meals and perfect pictures and travel influencers as well, because they are a bit of an escape. They do give you this like difference of reality. But when I first started in my career and doing social media full time, I knew that it had to be community first. So I gave myself a 4-hour window. If half of my career time is going to be spent in the community that has allowed me to do this, then that's what I will do. So I do 4 hours a day on social media. I spend most of them in DMs and in comments. And then the other half of the day is done doing everything else, right? So it does kind of fuel me to, I'll be honest, I honestly don't know what I'm gonna post tomorrow. I never have. I've always kind of been flying by the seat of my pants, and that's just how things go for me, and that's where I found I can be the most genuine. But ultimately, it is in creating mentally healthy spaces for yourself by finding those boundaries. If I see myself going more than 4 hours a day, I know it might be a little unhealthy, or if I feel myself starting to, have that comparison beast or that more monster going on, I will start to draw back and create some better conversations with those that intimately know me that way as well, that I can talk those insecurities through.
Amazing. Now, my last question for you is, if you could give loving advice to your younger self, what would you tell her?
To stop trying to suppress, she's gonna make me cry.
Oh.
To not try and suppress who you are to be something you're not, because eventually you're gonna come home. And the more we stray away from who we are trying to be something we're not, the harder that is to come home. And I think we all deserve to live a big, beautiful life, even in the smallest moments. And I think that I just would caution her to not look at everybody else as superior and better and own every little bit of who she is, because that ultimately is how I found all my success.
I love it. Oh my gosh, you're so amazing.
Dang.
You're gonna make me cry. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Honestly, it's a career highlight for me to sit down with you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We just are so happy to have you.
Thank you so much.